We only have one more month left in the college football regular season. How sad is that? Just like every season, this season has flown by and we are rolling into November. Today we're going to be predicting every SEC team's final record at the end of the regular season, and we're also going to be picking every game. I may or may not piss some of you off by picking against your team in a game that you swear you're going to win. The good news for you is I'm probably going to be wrong and you're probably going to win the game that I say you're going to lose. Without further ado, let's get these predictions started. Up first, we've got Alabama, and I've got the Tide winning out. They got LSU coming into town, but LSU's kind of a mess right now. I think the team's going to be fired up for Frank Wilson, the interim coach, but it's not going to be enough to beat Alabama on the road. Then the next week, Oklahoma comes into town, and I think Alabama's going to get revenge on the Sooners. This could be a tricky one for Alabama, though. You know, these Kane Womack defenses tend to struggle a little bit with dual-threat quarterbacks, and Mateer's pretty good on the ground. But I really don't trust Arbuckle to come up with a coherent offensive game plan. Plus, it's in Tuscaloosa. Give me Alabama to win this one. They'll handle Eastern Illinois the next week, and then the next week they head to Auburn for the Iron Bowl. We know how crazy these Iron Bowls can get in Auburn, but I think Alabama's going to do just enough on offense to win this game. Auburn couldn't score more than one offensive touchdown against the worst defense in the SEC. They're not going to score more than one against Alabama. Auburn's defense is pretty good, but if Alabama scores more than 20, they'll win this game. Alabama going 11-1 in Kalen DeBoer's second year would be pretty damn good, with that one loss being to Florida State, a non-conference opponent, so Alabama would be going to Atlanta for the SEC championship. You'll see later on in the video who I have them playing. Next up, we've got Arkansas, and Bobby Petrino has a tough stretch to end the season. This upcoming Saturday, they've got Mississippi State coming into town. I like Arkansas in a high-scoring game. Then 2 weeks later, they head to Death Valley, and I think this has the potential to be a pretty good game. Two teams rallying around an interim coach, and Arkansas facing an LSU defense that has looked vulnerable lately. But I think with the talent advantage and with it being in Baton Rouge does give LSU the advantage. Arkansas drops this one. Then they go on the road to Texas and Missouri. Those are two of the best defenses they're going to face all year, and I think they drop both of those. Tough year for Arkansas. They fired Sam Pittman 4 weeks into the season. Bobby Petrino takes over as interim, and if my prediction happens, only wins one game as interim head coach. Next up, we've got my Auburn Tigers, and I've got us finishing 6-6. We got Kentucky at home this upcoming Saturday, and I think this is going to be a really sloppy win for the Tigers. Then the next week, we go to Vanderbilt, and I'm trying to figure out a way in my head as to how Auburn can win this game. I fully expect Hugh Freeze to drop to 0-4 against Diego Pavia, and my gosh, just saying that out loud is just so sad. God forbid we don't lose to Mercer the next game. And then we've got the Iron Bowl at home, and like I said earlier, I'm taking Bama. Hugh Freeze has proven again and again and again that he is a loser, and I do not see that changing in the Iron Bowl. A 6-6 record at Auburn in year 3 should be absolutely unacceptable for any head coach on the Plains, and if Hugh Freeze is not fired, we are not serious about winning. All right, next up we got Florida and the Gators. No more Billy Napier. Billy Gonzalez is now the interim head coach for Florida, and a lot of these games look a lot more winnable than they did before. The bad play calling and the bad game planning is no longer holding Florida back for the rest of this year, and I think they're going to make a little bit of noise. Starting on Saturday in Jacksonville against Georgia, I think the Gators lose a close one to the Dogs. I think Florida plays with a chip on their shoulder. I mean, they are desperate to finally beat Georgia. It's just really hard for me to pick against Kirby Smart coming off a bye week. I'm really excited, though, to see how this revamped Florida offense looks. Then the next week, they head to Lexington. I think the Gator defense does enough to shut down Cutter Boley. Then Florida heads to Ole Miss in the middle of the Lane Kiffin drama. Yeah, man, I just think this Ole Miss team is going to be so fired up and play the best game of the season. Got the Gators dropping that one. And then the next week, I've got Florida beating Tennessee in the Swamp. If you know your college football history, you know that Tennessee is allergic to beating Florida in the Swamp. There have been some really good Tennessee teams that have gone into Gainesville and lost to some really subpar Florida teams, and I think it happens again this year. And then give me the Gators to beat the Noles the next week. Florida State is an absolute mess right now, and I do not see them turning it around before the end of the season. Give me the Gators. Florida fans at the beginning of the year probably did not see themselves at 6-6 by the end of the year, but I guarantee you, if you told them that Billy Napier was getting fired and that they may or may not be getting Lane Kiffin, I don't think they would be too upset. All right, next up, we've got Georgia. I've got the Dogs finishing 10-2. I think they edge out a close one in Jacksonville against Florida. I think Kirby off the bye is going to have this defense ready to play. It'll be close, but Georgia is just so good in the fourth quarter. Stockton delivers down the stretch. Give me the Dogs. I got them handling Mississippi State and Starkville. I think that's an easy win for Georgia. And then the next week, they've got Texas in Athens. This has a Kirby win written all over it. Most likely going to be the night game under the lights in Athens. I think Georgia gets off to a fast start and wins by 2 scores. They'll destroy Charlotte the next week, and then the next week they've got Georgia Tech in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I've got Georgia Tech winning this game. I think Georgia Tech's offensive line is going to win the battle up front. Haynes King is going to have a big game. Brent Key is going to have these guys fired up. And this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think Georgia's going to be able to put up a lot of points against this subpar Georgia Tech defense, but it's not going to be enough. You know, Georgia Tech's also got the revenge factor after what happened last year in this game. They're going to be moving the football all night, and Georgia drops to 10-2. I feel like this scenario is not that bad for Georgia fans. 10-2 definitely gets them into the playoffs. And who knows, maybe a tough loss to a rival might be what they need to spark a national championship run. That's what Ohio State did last year. It is not going to be a good end to the season for Kentucky. They go to Auburn this upcoming Saturday. Both of these teams are terrible, but Auburn's got more talent. I think that'll be the difference maker. Auburn wins. Then they've got Florida at home. I think this Kentucky defense is going to get pieced up by DJ Lagway, just like how they got pieced up by Joey Aguilar. Give me Florida. Then they've got undefeated FCS Tennessee Tech, and I think Kentucky pulls this one out. Mark Stoops always gets one random win every year that looks pretty good on paper, and I think it's going to be this one right here. Then the next week they go to Vanderbilt, and I think Kentucky is going to get murdered by Diego Pavia. Rivalry game at Louisville to end off the season. Louisville's competing for an ACC title right now. They look really good. I think Kentucky gets ran out of the building. At this point, I feel like Kentucky's going to wait till the end of the season to fire Mark Stoops, so that Louisville loss will be the nail in the coffin. Next up, we've got LSU without Coach Brian Kelly. He was fired this past Sunday. Frank Wilson, the running backs coach, is going to be the interim, and he's got a tough first game at Alabama. I think the team is going to be fired up for Frank. Whit Weeks probably returns as well, but this is not going to be enough to beat Alabama. The next week, they host Arkansas, and at this point, I think Nuss will be benched and Michael Van Buren will be the guy. I think he's going to torch this Arkansas defense. Arkansas will probably put up a lot of points as well, but I think LSU comes out on top. After that, they've got Western Kentucky. That should be an easy win. And to end off the season, LSU goes to Norman to play Oklahoma. I've got them dropping this one. I think this Oklahoma defense is going to outclass this new LSU offense with Van Buren. And Brent Venables may or may not be coaching for his job. When he was coaching for his job last year against Bama, his defense played lights out. And I think they're going to do the same this year. Give me Oklahoma. Very disappointing season for LSU, finishing 7-5. These dudes were supposed to be competing for the national title. But LSU is going to look forward to 2026 and onward. And who knows, maybe the Lane train ends up in Baton Rouge. Next up, we've got the Rebels, and I've got Ole Miss winning out. They got South Carolina this upcoming Saturday, and the Ole Miss pass rush looked a lot better against Oklahoma than it did against Georgia. I think they get after Sellers all day and win this game. Then they got the Citadel. That'll be an easy win. And then Florida. Big-time game. I think Ole Miss pulls it out. Like I said earlier, I think the Ole Miss players are going to be so fired up and play a really good game. I think Chambliss is going to outperform Lagway by just enough. Ole Miss by 10. Then we got the Egg Bowl in Starkville. I think it's going to be a heated game, but Ole Miss pulls away in the second half. One really important aspect about this game is that this is a noon game, not a night game. The Egg Bowl is usually at night, but Ole Miss catches a break because we know Starkville at night is a lot tougher than Starkville at noon. So Ole Miss would finish the season 11-1, comfortably in the playoffs. We all know the Lane chatter is still obviously going on, but I think in this scenario, all Ole Miss fans would be worried about is winning a national championship. Next up, we've got Mississippi State, and look, I'm just not going to pick them to win an SEC game until I see it happen. They are just like my Auburn Tigers. It's like every week they find a new way to lose. I think the only winnable game here is at Arkansas. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think Mississippi State's going to crumble in the end. Georgia, they'll get destroyed. At Mizzou, they may keep it close for a half, maybe 3/4. Same with Ole Miss, but they're not going to win any of these games. This would be 0-16 in the SEC for Jeff Levy. I think that's a fireable offense. All right, next up we got Mizzou, and I think it's going to be a strong end to the season for the Tigers. I've got them finishing 9-3. Next week, they've got Texas A&M with a new quarterback. Matt Zollers gets the start now that Bo Perbula's out for the season. And I don't think Zollers is going to be able to do enough against A&M, man. The Aggies' pass rush is going to be lethal, and I think Marcel Reed is going to create plays down the stretch. Give me the Aggies by 10. Then they host Mississippi State the next week. This could be a trap game, but I think Mizzou's going to find a way to close it late. State's been pretty weak on defense lately. This could be Zollers' true coming out party, and he could have a big game. Then the next week, they go to Oklahoma, and I've been back and forth on this one. This really is a coin flip game, but I am ultimately trusting Zion Young, Damon Wilson, and this Mizzou pass rush to get after Mateer more than I trust Oklahoma to get after Zollers. Zollers should have boosted confidence after that Mississippi State game. I think it's going to be a gutsy win for Mizzou, but this could very well go either way. Then they end the season on the road against Arkansas. I think Ahmad Hardy's going to run wild in this one. Arkansas is going to put some points on the board, but they're going to give up way too many. A solid season for Mizzou, 9-3. 3 is good, but I don't think it's good enough to get in the playoffs. All right, next up we got Oklahoma, and this is a brutal stretch to end the season. This upcoming Saturday, they go to Tennessee, and this is another game that I'm back and forth on. But ultimately, I'm picking Tennessee. I think this Oklahoma secondary is going to get torched again, just like they did against Ole Miss and Chambliss. Tennessee does have a weaker defense, though. I think Oklahoma's going to put some points on the board, but come up short. Give me Tennessee by a field goal. Then they go on the road to Bama, and John Mateer is going to have to perform at a very high level to beat Bama on the road, and I just don't think that happens. We haven't seen that high level of play from him as of late, and it's just so tough to pick a team to win on the road against Bama. And then I've got him dropping the game to Mizzou. Like I said in the Mizzou segment, it's a really 50-50 game, but I'm leaning towards Mizzou. Maybe Arbuckle can make some changes on the X's and O's side of the offense to give Oklahoma an edge, but for now, I think they're going to struggle and look a little lost and rattled against Mizzou. And then I've got Oklahoma ending the season on a win against LSU at home. Should be a big night for the Oklahoma defense, and I think the offense will have a solid outing against a very unpredictable LSU defense. Give me Oklahoma by 7. I don't think 7-5 is going to get Brent Venables fired, but I think there will be a lot of offseason changes on the offensive side of the ball for Oklahoma. Next up, we've got South Carolina, and I've got the Gamecocks finishing 5-7. They go to Ole Miss this upcoming Saturday, and I think this South Carolina defense is going to have a long day. Sellers is going to have a crazy game for South Carolina to win. I don't think that happens. Give me Ole Miss by 2 scores. Then 2 weeks later, they head to College Station to take on Texas A&M. This one's going to get ugly. This is a revenge game for Texas A&M, and this is a team you don't want to piss off. Gamecocks are going to lose this one pretty big. Then they've got Coastal Carolina at home, and this is not baseball. Coastal Carolina is not winning this game. Give me the Gamecocks. Then they've got Clemson to end the season. Similar to the Bama game, I think South Carolina is going to come out and play their best game. Except this time, they will not crumble in the fourth quarter. You know, neither of these teams are very good, but South Carolina has won 2 out of the last 3 against Clemson. I think that trend continues. Give me the Gamecocks by a touchdown. I am not entirely sure what's going to happen with Shane Beamer at the end of this season, but one thing is for sure. He's got to fire Mike Shula. All right, next up we got Tennessee, and I've got the Vols finishing 9-3. They've got Oklahoma this weekend, and like I said, this really feels like a 50-50 game. But I think the Tennessee offense performs per usual. I think the defense steps up down the stretch. Nealon's going to be rocking. Give me the Vols by 3. New Mexico State next. That's an easy win. And then at Florida. This is a winnable game for Tennessee, but I got to go with history on this one. It's dangerous to pick Tennessee to win in Gainesville, and I think at this point, Florida's new offense with Billy Gonzalez is going to be clicking. Give me the Gators. To end off the regular season, the Vols play Vanderbilt, and I think Tennessee wins this one. Jermon McCoy will definitely be back by then. The defense is going to be drastically improved for Tennessee, and Vanderbilt does not have the strongest pass defense. Aguilar should have a great game, and it's at Neyland. Give me Tennessee. Plus, they're going to be pissed after losing to Florida. 9-3, a solid record for Tennessee, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make the playoffs. All right, next up, we've got Texas. I've got the Longhorns finishing 8-4. This upcoming Saturday, they've got Vanderbilt at home. I think this is another 50-50 game, but I'm going with Texas. I think Pavia is going to feel the pressure of this Texas pass rush, and when he runs the ball, I don't think he's going to be able to run the ball effectively either. Vandy's defense is going to show up as well, but I think Caldwell's going to make enough plays for Texas to get the win at home. Then the next week, they head to Georgia. This is most likely a night game, and I am not picking against Georgia at night unless they're playing Alabama. Like I said in the Georgia segment, it's just got a Kirby win written all over it. I'm going Georgia by 2 scores. Then they got Arkansas at home. I think this defense steps up and handles Arkansas. The offense should step up and do well against this terrible Arkansas defense, and then they've got Texas A&M at home, and I'm picking the Aggies. This Texas defense is going to be facing the best athlete at quarterback they've seen all year. I think Archer Caldwell gets rattled by the Aggie pass rush, whoever is the starter at that point, and Texas will come up short. I'm going to go Texas A&M by, let's say, 8. I am not going to sugarcoat it. 8-4 is unacceptable for this Texas team. This team should have been a sure playoff team, but Arch just did not live up to the hype. Next up, we've got Texas A&M. I've got the Aggies winning out, finishing 12-0. They go to Mizzou next week, coming off a bye after the big LSU win. I think the team's going to be fired up. Give me Texas A&M by 10 against a good Mizzou team. They got South Carolina the week after that at home. This is a revenge game for A&M. I like the Aggies big. They'll destroy Sanford, and then they go to Texas. I think the Aggies get it done in Austin. Another revenge game for Texas A&M. I think Marcel Reed is going to increase his Heisman stock against a really good defense. And they're not going to be intimidated by the atmosphere either. They've already seen South Bend. They've seen Baton Rouge. I think it's going to be a big night for the defense to cap off a 12-0 regular season. And with that, we will have Texas A&M versus Alabama in Atlanta for the SEC Championship. That is going to be an awesome game. Lastly, we've got Vanderbilt. I've got the Commodores finishing 9-3. They go to Texas, and like I said, this is a 50-50 game. It could go either way, but ultimately, I think Vandy falls short in a close game. Then they got Auburn at home, and we know the story. Diego Pavia owns Hugh Freeze. He's 3-0 against him, and he's going to make it 4-0. Then they got Kentucky coming off a bye. I think Diego Pavia is going to shred this Kentucky defense. Give me Vandy by a lot. Then they go to Knoxville to play Tennessee. This is going to be a long day for the Vandy defense, man. I do not trust the Vandy secondary to combat all the weapons that Tennessee's got on offense. It's going to be really loud and kneeling, and I don't think the offense can do enough. Vandy comes up short. I'd say it's a bittersweet season for Vanderbilt. You know, nobody gave them a chance this year. Everyone called last year a fluke. They proved everybody wrong. They showed that they are legit, but they are going to come up just short and not make the college football playoff. But that's going to do it for this one. Those are my predictions for the rest of the season. I feel like we're in for a wild November, so I'm probably going to get a bunch of these games wrong, but hey, that's just part of it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Give a game-by-game prediction of your team, and let me know how you think you're going to finish the season. I look forward to reading them, but that's all I've got for today, and I will see you all in the next video.